I wrote it on my hand again. I wrote it on my hand again. And the lady who's reading Joan of Arc doesn't have a phone. She doesn't understand why. And her keys could be protected. And they shouldn't have been. The phone which she was working on protecting. Yeah, that's it. Joan of Arc saved France, and they let her get burned at the stake. I'm reading this because I don't know if it was the English or the French. Because I used to know, I sort of knew at some point, but I think it was her own French people. Okay, so you say France, Maid d'Orléans, Maid d'Orléans, Maid of Orleans, and then you burn at the stake. And that's a saint of God. Jesus can help me. Well, Jesus helped Joan. She's a saint in heaven. You can pray for us. But he didn't stop that. So I'm very glad she's my patron saint because just like Maria Beretti, not my patron saint, but we have a school name that and they're like, why? Well, this city definitely needs Maria Beretti as a saint. We were up at dawn, and after Mass, we started. In the hall, we met the master of the home, who was, oh, I already did this. I did this. What happened? Be good then and save some for supper, and I will bring one of those Englishmen with me, and he shall have his. Ah, well, fast. But he that fasts must attempt but little and stop early. When shall you be back? When I've raised the siege of Orleans. Forward! We were off. The streets were full of citizens and of groups and squads of soldiers, but the spectacle was melancholy. There was not a smile anywhere, but only universal gloom. It was as if some vast calamity had smitten all hope and cheer dead. We were not used to this and were astonished. But when they saw the maid, there was an immediate stir, and the eager question flew from mouth to mouth. Where is she going? Whither is she bound? Joan heard it and called out, "Whither would you suppose? I am going to take the Tourelles." It would not be possible for any to describe how these few words turned their mourning into exultation, into frenzy, and how a storm of huzzas burst out and swept down the streets in every direction and woke those corpse-like multitudes to vivid life and action and turmoil in a moment. The soldiers broke from the crowd and came flocking to our standard, and many of the citizens ran and got pikes and halberds and joined us. As we moved on, our numbers increased steadily, and the hurrahing continued. Yes, we moved through a solid cloud of noise, as you may say, and all the windows on both sides contributed to it, for they were filled with excited people. You see, The council had closed the Burgundy gate and placed a strong force there under the stout soldier Raoul de Gacote, Bailey of Orleans, with orders to prevent Joan from getting out and resuming the attack on the Tourelles. And this shameful thing had plunged the city into sorrow and despair. But that feeling was gone now. They believed the maid was a match for the council, and they were right. When we reached the gate, Joan told Gacote to open it and let her. Said it would be impossible to do this, for his orders were from the council and were strict. Joan said, "There is no authority above mine but the king's. If you have an order from the king, produce it." I cannot claim to have an order from him, General. Then make way or take the consequences. He began to argue the case, but he was like the rest of the tribe, always ready to fight with words, not acts. But in the midst of his gabble, Joan interrupted with the tense order. "Charge!" We came with a rush, and brief work we made that small job. It was good to see the Bailey's surprise. He was not used to this circumstantial promptness. He was not used to this unsentimental promptness. He said afterwards that he was cut off in the midst of what he was saying, in the midst of an argument by which he could have proved that he could not let Joan pass, an argument which Joan could not have answered. Still, it appeared she did answer it, said the person he was talking to. We swung through the gate in great style with a vast accession of noise, the most of which was laughter, and soon our man was ever over the river and moving down against the Tourelles. First, we must take a supporting work called a boulevard, and which was otherwise nameless, before we could assault the great Bastille. Its rear communicating with the Bastille by a drawbridge, under which ran a swift and deep strip of the Loire. The boulevard was strong, and Dumas doubted our ability to take it, but Joan had no such doubt. She pounded it with artillery all the noon. Then about noon, she ordered an assault. We poured into the fosse through the smoke and tempest of missiles, and Joan, shouting encouragements to her men, started to climb a ladder when the misfortune happened which we knew must happen. The iron bolt from an arbalest struck between her neck and her shoulder and tore its way down through her armor. When she felt the sharp pain and saw the blood gush over her breast, she was frightened, poor girl, and as she sank to the ground, she began to cry bitterly. The English sent up a glad shout and came surging down in a strong force to take her. And then for a few minutes, the might of the adversaries was concentrated upon that spot. Over her and about her, English and French fought with desperation, for she stood for France. Indeed, she was France to both sides. Whichever won her, won France, and could keep it forever. Right there in this small spot, and in 10 minutes by the clock, the fate of France for all time was to be decided, and was decided. No.